Welcome to the last module for Amazon advertising, and that is campaign optimization. Hopefully you've had a chance to review all these modules beforehand before skipping to this one. It's really important to understand all the terminology, the campaign structures, the different placements and their costs before creating your own campaigns to then optimize them. Now, if you're a new seller, you are in luck because the advertising console has gone through quite a few updates in the past couple of years, so you will be able to manage and optimize your campaigns yourself, at least at the beginning, which I definitely encourage that all new sellers do before you hand it off to maybe a consultant or an agency, or maybe even utilizing a tool. It's good to understand the basics of PPC, campaign creation, and also PPC campaign optimization. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this account, where I'm just going to start at the top left-hand corner and kind of work our way through so you can understand all these different things that are here in the advertising console, which is now called just Amazon Ads. Now, the first page that you land on when you go to this section is the management page, and this is just a high-level overview of all of your different campaigns that you might be running based on a certain time period. I put the period of last month. I always suggest, if you're going to optimize campaigns, that you look at least a week out, or maybe the previous month, so that you get a good solid amount of data before making any kind of optimization decisions. If you do this once a week, then you just look at the week before. But again, I always suggest you look at least 7 days out to make sure that all the data is there. So from left to right, the next tab that is here is just drafts, and that is simply for campaigns that you might have started creating and didn't finish. It's also for campaigns that maybe got rejected if you're building sponsored brand ads. If they get rejected, they're going to be here in this section. So this is where you can check to update them. Now, the budgets is a newer section of Amazon, and it's really helpful to make sure you stay in budget with your campaigns, especially for new campaigns. I don't know if you saw, but there was a little indicator on that main screen saying that we were out of budget or almost out of budget on this one particular campaign. So unless you're logging into your account on a regular basis, you don't maybe see that. It's late at night, and then at midnight it starts over again, so that goes away. So you kind of want to check your budgets tab to just make sure that you're staying in budget, especially at the beginning, the bulk of the time. You can see here that there's a couple of campaigns at the top. They're always going to show you the average time in budget. So anything that's less than 100%, which all of these are, it means that these campaigns at some point in time during the day are running out of budget on average 97%, 91% of the time during that month, a month of September. So you can see your daily budgets here and your recommended budgets to make sure that you actually do stay in budget. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and apply those because it doesn't really seem like that much higher than what we're currently paying. So I'm just going to make sure that we apply those. And that way I know rolling forward, these are all going to be in budget 100% of the time. The next tab is targeting, which is a high-level overview of basically all the targets within your account. So every single campaign that has a keyword target associated with it is going to be listed on this page. You get the dashboard here if you want to, at a high level look at these, which you can change some of these metrics. I'm going to go ahead and hide the chart just so you can see more of the data, and then I'm going to go back to it. Now, when you first come here, when you're optimizing your account, and again, I'm looking at data for the whole month of September, typically what I like to see is what's the highest ACoS campaigns, right? Or sorry, highest ACoS targets. Now, targets include obviously keywords. It includes the targeting levers within the auto campaigns, which are complements, substitutes, loose match. So anything that's a target, an ASIN, is all going to be included here. You see some ASINs here. You're going to see categories. So it doesn't matter if it's keyword or not, or an ASIN or a category, it's going to be listed here. You're going to see the targeting type, the status, you're going to see the campaign that it came from. So what you can do here effectively is just at a high level, take a look at your keywords that are spending the most. You can also sort by spend if you wanted to. And you can make adjustments here based on the suggested bids, or you could go even lower than this suggested bid to kind of optimize your ACoS down. So like I said, we were looking at the ACoS level here. The highest one is 162%. You've got 157, 154, 155. So these are all really high ACOSs for the month of September. So what I'm going to do, especially for those that are exact or phrase match, which you can also sort by, I'm going to go ahead and apply some of those suggestions. So the way that you do that is you can filter by match type, and then you can go targeting type is what it's called. And then you can see the different versions. Now, the reason I said I'm going to just look at exact or phrase match, I'll just do one examples of these, but you can do product targets and audience as well, is because exact keywords or ASINs or categories are technically exactly what the consumer is typing in. So this is exactly what they're typing in. And so you know that there's not a search term involved with this particular keyword or ASIN target. If there's one listed here, that's just the target. So you know how it performed. So I know, again, sorted by ACOS, that this target here, ashwagandha tincture, had an 111% ACOS. And if I want to, you can look at the suggested bid. You can do this. You can decrease by percentages. So the suggestion here is only to reduce it to $1.42 here versus the $1.48 that it is. So I'm actually going to reduce it to a lot more than that, because that is a really high ACOS. Same with this one. You can see the bid's already $1.39. Now you could also pause these keywords if you wanted to, because obviously they're not really doing that well based on this ACOS. So you could also go ahead and pause them here. The other thing that you can do this for, you can kind of get away with this with phrase, but I would suggest that you actually look at the search terms for that, which we'll go over. But again, product targets and audiences, this is exactly what is being served up to the shopper. There's no search terms involved in this. So you can kind of go through this same process and sort by ACOS, or maybe sort by spend without clicks. You definitely want to also look for not just high ACOS keywords or targets, but what actually spent without any sales. So you could do that by filtering, adding different filters. So if we wanted to do, let's just sort it by orders. So let's say less than 1, which is 0 orders. And you can kind of see then for the month of September, which product targets and audiences had 0 sales. So if you want to, and you can just sort this by spend, and you can kind of see really kind of quickly again what is spending your money that isn't very profitable. Again, you can do the same thing if you're looking at a week by week. I'm just giving you a month overview so you can kind of get some bigger data, more data. So you can see here that we've got some clicks definitely over 10 that I see right here. These have spent some money and they haven't made any sales. So these are definitely things that I would want to pause. So there's 17, 20, 9 is kind of the breaking point. It's always a general rule of thumb. If it's over 10 clicks and no sales, that's definitely something that you should probably pause. It's not a hard and fast rule. It depends on your margins as well. If you've got a much more expensive product, then you might be able to, spend a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and I selected all the ones that I wanted to select just to show you, and I'm going to pause those. So this is effectively how you can go about looking at your targets. Again, this is keywords, ASINs, and categories, which make up the bulk of your campaigns. But again, we always have to keep in mind the search terms, which again, I'll go over in a second. The other cool thing I wanted to show you, which is really only visible when you do have this graph, is targets not delivering. So Amazon does a good job of letting you know that you've got, in this particular instance, we've got over 10,000 targets that are not spending anything. So they, of course, want you to be spending your money. So this is something that if you took the time to do the keyword research and you've entered the targets into your campaigns, this is also another section that you might want to go through to see if you can want to increase the bids across the board, you can do that in bulk actions after you select the campaigns. So you can do things like adjust bids or apply suggested bids across the board, which would probably be the easiest thing with this many keywords that don't have any activity. So I just wanted to show you that before we moved on. Now, settings is another section that you can use to control budgets. You can either tell Amazon just use campaign level budgets, which this is set at. This just means that every single campaign has its own daily budget. Use that. If you wanted to set up a budget, daily budget cap for the entire account, though, you could also do that here. And once it spends that cap for the entire account, it will go ahead and stop. Now, the history is kind of a change log of sorts for everything that you do within the account. So this is just looking at today. I believe it goes back, at least it goes back 30 days to lifetime. I'm just going to look at the last 30 days. So you can see that if you've made changes, if you've paused keywords, if you can also see if you've gone out of budget, which is also available on that budget list there. But this gives you a great idea of what's actually been done to your campaigns as you optimize them. You can also do this at the account level when you go into an account, or in a campaign level, I should say, once you get into a campaign. But this is kind of a high level overview of your account. So maybe you see something wrong, when you're looking at this chart and you see something that major that happened, maybe a major dip or a high ACOS, you might want to leverage this history and filter the different things that you can look for in here. So you can sort it by change type and all the different statuses. You can say, which campaign budgets did I change? What were my bid adjustments on that particular day? And so this really gives you a really quick insight into, what happened. I'm just going to click bid adjustment. So I don't have any in the last 30 days. So basically this gives you a real good idea of what what you did in the previous time period. I believe it's up to accurate up to 48 hours. So as long as it's past that, which you shouldn't be optimizing within 48 hours anyways. So those are the ways at a high level to look at these tabs here and how to leverage those. Now, you can also, of course, just look at the overall management section, and I'm going to X this out. We are aware that budget's out. And you could also do the same thing last 30 days. I'm just going to go ahead and do last month. Now, if I wanted to sort by spend to see what was spending the most, that I could do it that way. Again, I like to see ACOS. That is the minimum marker of how a campaign is doing. Now, keep in mind that we're not seeing the tacos, which is something that we do like to talk about. I mentioned it earlier. So we're not seeing total ACOS here. Total ACOS is involved with just organic. It's organic and PPC sales metrics. Now, since this is just a PPC campaign platform, you don't see any organic data. So that's why we're just talking about ACOS as we're optimizing these campaigns. So we do see some campaigns that had some pretty high ACOSs. So I also just wanted to quickly show you how to look at these in the campaign and also optimize it. Now, this is an auto campaign, so this is a great example because auto campaigns, again, have search terms. So in order to see those, you just click into the ad group itself and look at search terms. Now, interesting right now, I can't really add anything. I can't make adjustments to this right now. So you might have to do some copying and pasting. But I think this is something that's coming across the board, and I'll show you in a minute what I'm talking about. So again, first thing you want to check is probably your high ACOS, like which were the things that did the worst. So in this example, you've got this one at the top with 100% ACOS, NAC supplement. I can't even say this whole thing. So I'm just going to copy it to my clipboard. And this is something that you want to make sure is a negative target. This is something that Amazon is assigning to this particular product. And obviously it's not working. So the long way of doing this is just by copying and pasting going over to the negative targets tab, which is also here to the left, and adding it as an exact match. Now, if you see some common phrases or keywords that might be found in a phrase, certain phrases, you add the phrase. So, for example, the word just stomach is in here as negative phrase, which means anything with any customer search with the word stomach in it is going to be denied, because obviously this is not a product for anything related to the stomach. So that's why that is there. So again, this is a longer process of actually going into the account and looking at the search terms. I do think that they're going to be updating this so that you can actually do the negative, adding to the negative a lot quicker. And because I do know, I saw earlier that I could do this in a broad match keyword campaign. So I'm just going to look for, let's see, something that says research campaign. I know research campaigns are broad match campaigns. So let's see, research this one here. So just to show you guys the difference, again, clicking on the ad group and clicking on search terms. And here you'll see actions to the left. So I'm not quite sure why it's in the manual campaign, but not yet in the auto campaign. It's almost more important for it to be actually in the auto campaign, as they do get a lot more keywords. But again, this is a broad match keyword campaign, which means it gets served search terms. And that's why I didn't look, or I didn't optimize my broad keyword campaigns at that targeting level on the main page, because when you have broad search or broad keywords, you really actually should be monitoring and optimizing the actual search terms. So again, we can do the same thing, sort by ACOS, and let's see what we get. Not anything really high, but again, if this was, something that I found that was bad, it actually it lets you know if it matches or if it's already a keyword. So you can see this is the search term. It's already added as a keyword into the campaign. And this one here, also the same thing. Broad, negative, exact. Let's see, ashwagandha root liquid. Okay, so if this one wasn't performing well, I could then go here and say add as negative exact or add as negative phrase. So instead of me having to copy and paste this like I just did in the auto campaign, going over to the negative targeting and then adding it, I can go through here and I can click on all of these if I want and go through them and make sure that I'm either adding as a keyword, because again, these are search terms, so you can add these as a keyword to the same account, to the same campaign. So I'm trying to find one that doesn't match. It looks like every single, let's see, organic, liquid drops, multiple. So what you want to do, you can see this one's added as a negative keyword already. So what you want to do though, again, a part of optimizing your campaigns is finding search terms that actually performed well and making sure that they're in your in the campaigns as well. So you could either do that into the same campaign as you can do here, or you can build another campaign. Again, depending on how many keywords in that campaign, you want to make sure that it gets the impressions. So this one actually did pretty well. One sale at a 21% ACOS last month. So this is actually something that is different. The customer search term is ashwagandha root liquid, but the actual keyword is ashwagandha liquid. So you can see there's nothing here. So we actually want to add this as a keyword to this campaign. So again, this is a part of optimizing. You don't want to only just find the bad, you also want to find the good stuff as well. So again, this is a broad match campaign. So I'm going to make sure I don't add it as exact or I don't add it as phrase. And I'm going to keep the suggested bid, and I'm going to add that keyword, and it updates it here. And this is one way to go through and look at your search terms and find the ones that have done well to put them into your campaigns. Now, again, only the targets are something that you're able to do at the account level in this targeting tab. If you wanted to look at all of your search terms, that's still a little bit of a bigger process. definitely worth doing it if you've got auto campaigns, if you've got broad keyword campaigns, even if you've got phrase match keyword campaigns. You do want to look at those search terms, not just focus so much on the keyword. Now, the only way to really do that, though, in a bigger view is to actually download a report, though. So over here, you've got this measurement and reporting. You've got the reports tab. This is where you would go to then generate a report. I already created one here, but I'll show you really quickly what it requires or what you can get. So if I wanted to see all the search terms for my sponsored product campaigns, my sponsored brand campaign, sponsored display, everything's here. So you're probably mostly going to have sponsored product campaigns when you first launch, so you're going to leave that there. Again, we want to look at the search terms because we can't see a bigger view of that, but you can also pull an Excel report for targeting, advertised product campaign, budget is kind of what we just went through. So there's all different ways that you can pull these reports, but again, the basis of optimizing campaigns is looking at their search terms if it's a broad keyword or phrase match keyword. Keep it at summary. If you do daily, it's going to be a lot of data. So you want to summarize that search term over the last 30 days. I believe it lets you go back as far as 3 months. So I was able to generate August and 2 months. So 60 days is what I was able to generate. You can also email this to yourself or to somebody else if you want them to take a look at it, or you can run it now, or you can schedule it. So lots of different options there. But I already ran a report and I already downloaded it here. It's the one dated October 5th. Now, you could either open it up in Excel if you wanted to, but I prefer looking at the data in Google Sheets. So I already updated that the report into Google Sheets, and it's very similar to the way I showed you with the targeting, looking at the targets only. Now, again, this is a search term report, so you get all the data, start and end date from when you ran the report, portfolio, the campaign name, ad group, the actual target. This is the important stuff that we want to look at is the customer search term. So it looks like it's already sorted by spend. So I can see that this particular ASIN, these top two ASINs actually spent the most last month. You can see the spend here. These ACOSs are pretty good. So these aren't things that I'd want to actually change. But again, we're looking for two things. We're looking for the search terms that did well, and we're looking for the ones that didn't. So, and just looking at these top 5, I would want to make sure that these search terms are in the associated campaign. So these ASINs are already in this campaign. I can tell because this is an ASIN-based campaign. So that is the target that we are targeting. This auto campaign, I would want to make sure that the stick is in a manual keyword campaign for this same product because it did well in the auto campaign. Same thing with this one. Targeting is erases earplugs, erases earplug, singular, plural. So this one's already in there. So you just want to make sure you can sort this. If you wanted to, you could sort this by ACOS. I think if you wanted to do that, you just go ahead and click on this and then sort sheet by A to Z. If you sort sheet A to Z, it's going to give you 0 percentages, so you don't want to do that. So just click on the highest to lowest, and this is probably stuff you want to take care of right away. So again, similar to the keywords that we were looking at before in Amazon, for last month, I'm looking at the search terms. So these are things that I definitely would probably want to either definitely make negative or pause them as well. So I can see here by looking at the match type here that these top 1, 2, 3, 4 at least are exact match keywords. So these are ones that I would want to make sure that I highlight and I go into the campaign and actually make it a pause these particular targets because they do match the search term. As you can see here, the target is the same as the customer search term because it's an exact match keyword. So these are ones I would definitely want to potentially pause, possibly even the phrase. I can see this is the same. So you'd want to go through And again, the important parts is the broad match, because again, you can have different search terms for different keywords. As you can see here, maca coffee is the search term, and the keyword that we're targeting is just maca. So we don't want to turn off maca. That might be something else that's going to get us different search terms. Some might even convert, but maca coffee is probably not. It's no, it's an 88% ACoS. So you'd want to go through and just highlight this by, maybe anything over 50%. Anything over 40%, you can trim off the rest of this report and just look at that data set. The other thing you might want to do once you trim it down is maybe sort it by campaign. So you're actually just looking at the data sets, different by their different campaigns, and then you can immediately make decisions on if I want to make this a negative, or if I want to make this or pause this exact keyword. The only other thing that I want to make sure I cover with you is the budget controls that are actually within different campaigns. So whenever you don't just have budget controls here at this main page, but you also have budget controls within the campaign itself. This is something that is new. I don't know if you saw it earlier. It says new right here. So this is something that's another method that you can do to control your budget, or even set your budget for your campaigns. So you can name these rules, and you can see the example here is Valentine's Day. Basically any holiday that you want, you'd probably want to increase your budgets depending on your product. So you can either schedule it, or you can use performance. So it's basically performance based on a particular ACoS that you put in here. But so you can use it two ways. You can say, upcoming events. We have Halloween coming up by the time we're filming this, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas Day. These are all really big shopper days. So you can select some of these pre-segmented periods that Amazon knows is going to be busy, and you can set your increases or decreases for bids across the board for your for that campaign. Again, I'm in this one campaign, so you have to set budget rules at a campaign level, or you can't take advantage of this kind of scheduling. You can also do a custom date range here. So if you know different holiday, or if it's a seasonal product that you know is going to be big on a particular item, you can do that. So the other option is just performance based. So you can do different metrics here. You can base it on ACoS, ETR, CBR, and of course you're going to want to make this ACoS value, something that is maybe a break-even ACoS, target ACoS, and then it's going to automatically adjust the budget for you, depending on if it's spending, how much it's spending on a certain day, again, to make sure that you don't run out of budget in a given day. So those are all the different features that you get with the ad console. And the main thing to just always keep in mind is, again, don't look at your optimizations, or don't do your optimizations within a few days, potentially even a week, because data does come in. You've also got a 7-day pixel for your sponsored product campaign, so someone can click on it today and buy it in 8 days. That sale gets attributed, so you don't want to maybe potentially over-optimize by missing sales. Sponsored brands and sponsored display campaigns, which we also covered, have a 14-day pixel, so even a bigger window. So I like, when you get to a point, I like to look at a previous month, at least a week out, and then make optimization decisions like that. But as long as you're looking at this at least once a week on average, depending on the volume of the keywords you've selected and your product, you should be okay. Thanks for joining, and hope to see you in the next version of Freedom Ticket.